Well, good morning. Benjamin Kamoya here. Welcome to Reinvention Saturdays. Just getting set it up and really excited that you're joining me here today as we grow together, as we really advance ourselves. You see, I absolutely believe in your capacity, in your potential, and I know that you are your most appreciable asset. And as you add value to yourself, you grow, you get better. And as you get better, you are able to do better and you're able to get better results. And that really has been the journey and story of my life. I got exposed to leadership content at a very young age. At 19, I was sitting with other adults in the room and we had this 14-inch TV, Sony TV, and a VHS, right there. And we had tapes and VHS cassettes, watching them and just gleaning some principles and really just learning and growing. And I up to today, I still have got those notes that I wrote back in the day in 2013, 2014, 2002, 2003. All the years back. And I know that as you join me here for Reinvention Saturdays, you are deeply resourced. You're deeply resourced. You're fully resourced with resources. And as you grow and develop, you get better. Thanks for joining me. For those of you who are coming in for the very first time, my name is Kamoya Benjamin, and I'm gifted as a creative communicator. I express those gifts as a coach, as a speaker, as a trainer. And my mission is really to help leaders reinvent themselves for impact and for income. And that journey that we're calling reinvention is a journey of mastering your brilliance, because there is a brilliance within you. There is gems deposited by God within you when you are created. Mastering what is that brilliance that I have, and then number two, how do I manifest it into the world? How do I express it? Where do I take it? How do I package it? How do I bring it into the world? And then thirdly is, how do I monetize it? How do I monetize it? And that really is always a journey. That is always a journey that takes commitment, that takes partnership, and Reinvention Saturdays is your partner in that journey. And I'm honored to serve you today. So last week we talked about mind frames of masters. And in mind frames of masters, we shared two mind frames. Are you playing to win or are you playing not to lose? And today's session really builds up very well on what we talked about last Saturday. Because today I'm talking to you about living your life from the core of your authenticity and not from a place of necessity. Living your life from the core of your authenticity and not from a place of necessity. I remember that as soon as we had kind of completed our, Form 4 education, and we had this 1-year break. My buddies were talking about how they're going to proceed to university and what they're going to do. And I knew my chances were very slim. The family setup at that time was not working. Dad had left. And so here I was with my mom, and we're 4 of us, and I'm the second born. And we were thinking about, okay, there are more important things right now more than university. And I stepped into business. And my mom was my first CEO at about 7 years. I've been an entrepreneur for the longest time. And the practical thing for me to do was step into business. And I did business with my mom, and then I moved from working with my mom and I stepped into the marketplace and I began to look for opportunities where I could serve. And though that is not where I wanted to be, I found myself in 2002 moving from one office to the other, bearing the portraits of the then elected president, Mwai Kibaki, and moving from one office to the other, making a case for the people in that office to pull down the former president's portrait, President Moi, former President Moi, the late President Moi, and put up President Kibaki's, portrait. I didn't want to be in that position. And everything within me at that time called out and said, this is not who you are. This is not your dream. You're built for more. Come on, step up and do greater. that is where I found myself. And that's not where I wanted to be, but that's where I found myself, folks. And for you today, if you're joining me and really feeling that, I don't want to be in the place that I'm in, you could be operating from a place of necessity, but there is great hope. I can tell you that there is a path to move into a place of the core of your necessity, of your authenticity, and away from a place of necessity. So let's begin by defining, what does it mean to operate from a place of necessity? Operating from a place of necessity, as the word goes, necessities, is when you are operating from a place where you're chasing bills, or bills are chasing you. You're chased by bills. You just want to meet them. Just want to meet the minimums. You just want to get that bill paid. You want to get your rent paid. You want to get your food ready. You want to get your water. You want to get your electricity. And then, that's it. You're just literally living from hand to mouth. And that is a place of necessity. Another place of necessity is where you're just doing what is required to ward off, the disappointment that you would bring on others. It could be a job situation. It could be you're employed somewhere and your boss requires you to do certain things. The setup that you are in has got certain demands of you. And you wake up living your life just to meet those demands. That is a place of necessity. So whatever those demands are that have got you by the collar, and they're saying if you don't do this, then that will happen, you are operating from a place of necessity. You're just doing what is necessary to keep your head alive, above the water. That is a place of necessity. And like in 2002, I found myself in that place. I found myself really chased by bills, and I'm asking myself, what do I do to make these bills stop chasing me? That was a place of necessity. And I woke up every single day living from that place. And you could be there. You could be there, but I have news for you. There is a different place. Because like most of us, what we found is you have your ladder leaning against the wrong wall. And you're spending so much energy climbing this ladder only to get to the top and find that that's not where you wanted to go. Because that is what living from a place of necessity does. It just keeps you wanting to do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing just to get away from the pressure. Only to realize that, oh my goodness, I'm 45, I'm 50, I'm 65, and look, I got to the top and my ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. That is from a place of necessity. Now, living from the core of your authenticity is a completely different ballgame. Does it take energy? Oh, yes. Does it take dedication? Oh, yes. But let me tell you, when you get to the top of this ladder, the satisfaction that comes even with the impact, the satisfaction that comes even with the income is priceless. It's priceless. And I remember having done the business that I needed to do, operating from a place of necessity, moving around, selling portraits, and then that was no longer, feasible to sell. And I began to really think about, advertising is one of, creativity is one of my gifts. How do I get into advertising? And I charted a path for myself where I pioneered bus advertising in Kenya. And every single day I was running, chasing these demands that were upon me to deliver for the clients, to deliver for the bills, to deliver for the landlord, to deliver for who. But I never at one point sat down to decide, how do I want to live this life? What impact do I want to have? When I wake up in the morning, am I doing the things that I want to do, or am I doing the things that I have to do? And that for me was the wake-up call. Because I remember having heard teaching and sitting with mentors and them guiding me and beginning to open up my mind through forums like this that were free, VHS, CDs, tapes, listening to podcasts, getting on YouTube and just learning about what does it mean to live a life of purpose. I began to understand that within me was a programmed pattern, a pattern that pointed to my potential. And that is what living from the core of your authenticity means. Your authenticity is the truth about your life, is the truth about your greatness, is the truth about the genius that is within you, is the truth about what was designed by God the Creator and coded within you. You see, when David is talking about his life, he said, hey, you knit me in my mother's womb. You knew me even before I was born. All my days were laid out before even one of them came to be. There is a blueprint of who you are and your greatness, your truth, the authentic life that you're supposed to live, that was designed and written out before any of those days came to be. There is that life. And if you're reading from life, you can either operate from the script of what's necessary, the demands of the boss, of the landlord, of the bills. You can operate from here. Or you can choose to seek to understand what this other script is that says you're built for more, you're built for greatness, you have solutions, There's greatness within you. Step into that. And the transition from a life of necessity to the core of your authenticity feels like a bridge that has got no connection. And that is what Reinvention Saturdays is about. It's about helping you, number one, gain the awareness that there is more within you. There is more within you. Where you started doesn't determine where you end up. If you find that your ladder is leaning against the wrong wall, you can move your ladder. Or you can find a ladder that is leaning on the right wall and really jump to it. And though that takes guts, that takes, risk, that takes energy, that takes awareness, the jump will be worth it. The jump will be worth it. And so for those of you who are just joining us, we're talking about how do you operate from the core of your authenticity. And we've just done a quick definition. Operating from the core of your authenticity is really tapping into the truth about who you are. And where is the truth about who you are? Who bears the truth about who you are? It's your Creator. Your Creator has got your script already written down. Psalms 139 and verse 16. Boom, you'll find it right there. Before any day of your life came to be, it was all written in my books. I knew you. Before you were a conception in your mother's womb, you were a concept in my mind, says God. And I chased that script. And I began to attend meetings, and I began to attend masterminds, and I sat with mentors, and I pursued purpose, and I took times to pray, and I listened, and I heard, and I began to move in the direction of that programmed pattern within me, of that programmed genius within me, of that brilliance that is within me. And I began to ask myself this question: what could be possible through me? What could be possible through me? That is how I began to move in the direction of living from the core of my authenticity. And by the way, let me tell you, while I was becoming aware about living from the core of my authenticity, my truth, the one that is existing, even before I was born, I was still in a place of necessity. But this is the thing, the awareness that I had caused me to shift. And I was no longer going in this direction, pursuing more of living from the core, from a place of necessity, but I began to tilt and say, how do I live from the core of my authenticity? And that is when I began to, again, I share with you, understand that there is a programmed pattern within me. And that pattern had two things. The first thing it had a blip, a desire, an impulse of thought that would come to me in those moments when I was slaving with a mop or with a squeegee or arranging chairs in a hall. It would come to me and it would tell me, this is not your dream. This is not your dream. It would come to me when I am, chasing clients, selling, advertising. It would come to me when I'm in my lowest moments and tell me, you're built for more. This is not who you are. And I did not know at that time how to work with that voice. I would just say, yeah, I know that, but hey, this is where I am. This is all I got to do. These are my options. My die is cast. Let me just hope that something is going to happen. Hope is not a strategy. But that voice was always there. And I know that that voice is there for you. What does it tell you? What does it tell you? And when it speaks to you, what do you do? Do you answer? Because from today, what I want you to do is I want you to tell that voice, yes. Show me how. What do I do? Show me how. And you will begin to be clued in. And as you follow, the voice will be there behind you saying, this is the way. Take the next step. Take the next step. And with mentorship and with guidance and with these sessions, I will help you really tap into that greatness that is within you. I don't know what it is, but I know it's there. And if you don't know how to find it, I'm going to help you through these sessions to gain the awareness, to navigate to where it is and to find it. That's what mentors did for me. And so moving into the core of my authenticity and living my life from there, I began to really tap into this patterned program. And that pattern program had a desire for me. And that desire told me, you're built for more. And the more I followed that voice, the clearer it got to me that I'm built for raising leaders. I'm built for inspiring leaders. I'm built for helping people master, manifest, and monetize their brilliance. And the more I moved towards that voice, the farther I moved away from a place of necessity. No longer chased by bills, landlords, and all that. And really saying, what impact could I have into the world? What income could I have in the process? This is a totally different life. Totally different life to operate from. So we're talking about how do you tap into this programmed pattern of your potential. Number one, there is a desire. There is a desire. And what is desire? Desire is the effort of an unexpressed possibility seeking to be birthed within and through you. Listen again. Desire is the effort of an unexpressed possibility seeking to be birthed within and through you. And as it's seeking to be birthed, it comes to you in the night and it nags you and it tells you, wake up, wake up. There's more. Don't settle for less. It tells you, it gives you guidance. And what you want to do is you want to begin to work with it. You want to work with it. You want to work with it because it's calling you, beckoning you to the place where you're operating from the core of your authenticity. The second thing about this pattern is what skills, talents, abilities, resources, and potential and strengths do I see about myself? Because the voice that comes to tell you, you could be more, you could do more, you could have more, it's not speaking from a place of assumption. It's speaking from the awareness of, I know what he has. I know what she has. I know what you carry. It knows you. It knows you, and it comes to tell you what? You're not being all that you could be. You're playing small. You could step into, I know the resources that you have. I know what is deposited within you. Come, let's go this way. Let me show you a better way. Let me show you a different way. And the things that you could do for yourself today to begin to move into the core of your authenticity is to define your straps. And that is, what skills do you have? What talents do you have? What resources do you have? As an individual, how are you resourced? How are you resourced? Who are you and how are you resourced? What abilities do you have? What are the abilities that you have? What potential do you sense, do you feel is calling you out? What could be possible through you? What strengths do you have? What is it that you do that comes easily for you? And as you think about these things and begin to tap into the voice that says there is more within you, you could be more, you could have more. And they say, well, what are you seeking to express within me? And say, what do I do to go in that direction? You're moving towards the core of your authenticity. And the road gets wider and wider and wider and wider as you travel on it. The possibilities expand as you travel on that road. Friends, it has been about 15 years since I answered the voice and I said, yes, I'm going to go in the direction, operating from the core of my authenticity. And that was like a transition where on one hand, I'm still living from the core, from a place of necessity. And on the other hand, I am shifting out of it. And it took time. Moving in, out of, and into the core of my authenticity. Away from necessity and into the core of my authenticity took time. It took time. But every moment, the journey was worth it. But think about it. Does it take more energy to dream more, to dream big, as it does to dream small? Does it take more energy to dream small? Does it take more energy to dream big? Does it take more energy to fight for the core of your authenticity? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. You don't consume more brain energy when you think small. You just think you think. And when you think big, when you think into the greatness, when you think into the greatness, when you think into the potential that is coded within you, and you think into how do I manifest this out into the world, you use the same brain energy. The difference is in the beliefs that are running us. That's really where the work is. Because when you are dreaming bigger than you believe you can do, that conflict within you consumes a lot of energy. And that's really what I want to help guide you through in these Reinvention Saturdays. If you want to start working with me and really moving into the core of your authenticity, send an email to me, reinvention@kamoya.com. And I'm going to start a conversation with you from wherever you are. Find you there in the trenches. And we begin a conversation about how to step into the core of your authenticity. I noticed that when I was operating from the place of necessity, I always use this statement and I would say, I am not where I want to be because. I am not doing what I desire to do because. I am in a strained position because. And what you'll notice about being in a place of authenticity is that you bring your authentic, causative self into circumstances. When I was saying because, it means that something else had the causative power over me, and I didn't have a choice. I was only responding because the cause had already happened and I had to respond to it. When you operate from a place of necessity, you operate from a because. And remember, we are causative beings. That's how we've been created by God. We're causative. We cause things to happen. We're causative. We've been wired and programmed in a way that we can think. We can imagine. We can change our thoughts. And we can say, I'm going to do different. I'm going to do better. And for me to do better, I'm going to implement certain strategies in my life. We're causative. We're causative. You're not a flower growing outside there that you have no choice. This thing is just programmed you. You're just growing. No. You can choose. You can choose. And choice is a function of awareness. And so when you're saying I cannot because, I haven't because it's admitting your powerlessness in life. And it's admitting that there is another force that has got more power than I do, that has got the ability to shift my circumstances without my intervention. That is living from a place of necessity. And so operating from the core of your authenticity is when I say, oh, I could do that. I could design my life this way. And you find that you begin to say, I'm building this so that. So you operate from a so that. You're being causative. You have an input into it. You're changing and shifting circumstances. You're looking at life and saying, no, there's more. I could have more. And stepping in to adjust the different levels and adjusting them. And looking at the result and saying, oh, it's not yet there. I can be causative. I can change, shift to get what I want. Not from, oh, I can't do that because. I can't be there because there's a cause that has existed before me. And because that cause existed before me, then I am powerless. I just have to respond. And that's living your life from a place of necessity. That's my desire for you, that you would shift from that. And the first step is the awareness. If you remember, we talked about the 7 levels of awareness. And the first 3 levels of awareness are always living from a place of necessity, where you really are not tuned into your individual greatness and your aspirations and what could be possible for you. You're operating from a because the government, from because the economy, from because life, from because my enemies, because my friends, because my mother, because my father, because. A place of necessity. But the core of your authenticity is, I will bring forth. I will cause things to happen. I will create. And I shared with you, as I end up here today, begin to identify who you are. Articulate what your brilliance is. Who are you? Who are you? And what is it that being you wants to bring forth into the world? What is it about being you brings a difference into society? And who needs what you've got? Because that's who you are created for. That's who you are sent to. That thing which is within you, it's for them. They're waiting for you. Go, go, go. Stop being chased by bills. Go there. Serve them. And get an income from serving them. And that's reinvention, my friends. And today's Reinvention Saturday was about moving from the place of necessity where you're chased by bills, where you're chased by your landlord, where the demands of life are coming for you, to a place where you say, wait a minute, I'm driving and moving to the core of my authenticity. And it's not long before you no longer have to think about bills. It's not long before you no longer have to think about money. The big conversation is impact. And yes, income is coming, but impact is the big number. And your ladder is leaning against the right wall. Thank you for joining me here today. Kamoya Benjamin, as always, honored to serve you every time you join me on Reinvention Saturdays. Do not walk away before you like and you comment with an idea that has resonated with you, and also share this message out there. Blessings, be well. Bye for now. You know what it's going to be next Saturday, 9:30 a.m. right here. Spread the word, tell a friend. They'll be glad they joined us. Bless you. Be well. Bye for now.